Good to go?
We are good to go. I'm going to run to the loop bike.
Yeah. Right, so, that little fart then? Fucking, I want to start getting on the B-roll. Right, guys, so one of the main questions we normally get, so we're going to put this into a bit of a longer form content today for you. Well, obviously, head of programming, Gav's here. He's going to use myself as a case study. Now, a big thing of what we're about is loads of endurance feats, loads of strength feats, looking the part and training like an athlete all year round for different comps and different focuses. Now, for myself personally, I've just come off the back of a big, long, extensive endurance block, for 100-mile runs, 50-mile runs, etc. And that's been the main focus the last kind of year for me. Now, strength training has still been in there to some degree, but it's not been massive. Like for the last kind of, I'd say 3 months or so, it's been 2 strength sessions a week, a couple of bodybuilding bits here and there, but it's not been anything extensive to make sure that there was no kind of fatigue for these runs. So that's the big thing we want to consider. As we move through the year, there's different training cycles, there's different training focuses. For me, it was all in on endurance, with a lot less strength kind of components. Now we're moving back towards functional lifting comps, still doing endurance feats, but it's not the main focus. It's about functional fitness comps, looking good, and getting some fucking strength back as well. That is the main focus. So Gav is going to talk you through the kind of considerations, training considerations he went for, and going through my training cycle, the next one I'm going to be going through.
Yeah, so a couple of little things is that from an endurance standpoint, when we come to a more functional based fitness, we need to work on different energy systems to what he's been doing for the last year. The last year is just about grinding for as long as you can. It's the same baseline, and although you go through the energy systems to get there, you're spending all your time up at that base level. We need to now get good at working at high heart rate for short periods of time and maintaining that high heart rate. So we're taking on different energy systems, like doing less than 30 seconds effort is going to work through the glycolytic, and then this is going to work into the, anyway, it doesn't matter any of that shit. But basically we have to structure out how he works through different energy systems and still keeps in his baseline zone 2 for when we talk about recovery and how he recovers from, fuck me, can we restart this whole thing?
Can you just keep rolling and clip it?
Fucking.
Yeah, just keep rolling,
just
keep rolling.
Waffling too much shit.
Just talk through again.
I'll just start from
start.
Yeah.
Literally, Gav's starting his bit again. So cut from mine, and Gav's going to start his next bit now, if you get me. Yeah?
Yeah.
Go on, let's go.
So the key consideration with endurance we needed to think about was, although we've got a solid base, we have not done any real red line work for prolonged periods of time, utilizing weights. All we've done is been on our feet. All we've done is grinded for long periods of time. So we need to change that up and get good at being able to sustain high output for a long period of time. So
it's been hard, by the way, 2 weeks in, it hurts.
So what we need to do is start utilizing things where we're working for under 30 seconds for prolonged periods of time. So we're training like a glycolytic phosphagen energy system. So it's short, sharp bursts that's going to be utilized over and over and over again through a 20-minute AMRAP, let's say. Especially if you're doing like turf games and it's partnered, you're going to use that system, you're going to be out that system, you're going to use that system. So it's imperative we have this kind of work in. In the same breath, we're going to be doing 20 minutes. And if you end up on a bike for 2 minutes of that round, we need to be working at 2 minutes. So we're pushing forward out of that glycolytic energy system. We're moving into the next energy system before we then go back into your oxidative energy system. So not that the energy systems matter, but we need to work through those ranges. So as you'll see through that, we've got a 30-second short, sharp efforts. We've got a zone 2 mix, so we're utilising things like farmers carries, etc. with erg work. We have a rest day so that his body can recover because the strength stuff's going to be kicking his ass at this point.
Rest.
We'll get to that in a minute. No, he doesn't rest. Number 4, day 4, we're looking at a slightly higher output using just solely erg-based work. So we're getting that base level and we're working at a hard consistency. On this period here, we've got recovery and rest, though you need to know the difference, okay? And the key thing is if your coach is just making you do a 2-minute effort and then a 5-minute steady rest, he's talking shit, you don't know what he's actually on about, okay? You never, in any form of fitness comp, do you do a 2-minute effort and then completely stop for 5 minutes and then go again for 2 minutes. It's just not the way it works, okay? So we do a 2-minute effort and we might have 2 minutes of recovery, which is where you still consistently move.
Like a flow.
Yeah, where your heart rate is brought down and then we go again for sets and then we rest. Then we'll take 5-10 minutes off and then we'll repeat, okay? Then we've got like an EMOM based work as we move into day 5. This is more mixed again, so we're using things like a power clean, so it's short, sharp efforts, that under 20, 30 second mark, so we're staying within those short windows. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna spread that over a long standing period of time. By putting that over a long period of time, that means that he's getting all the energy systems work through, and we're going to really create mitochondrial changes. We'll not get into that, but it's really important in how ADP, the thing that makes you move, regenerates. And then another zone 2 just to send off the week and relax, and then what should be a rest day, but I know he won't do it. Yeah? So you've got to think about energy systems, and if you're being coached or you're doing your coaching, you're not thinking about the energy systems, you're just thinking that Metcon looks good and that's going to fuck me up, and such and such you already did 10 500 meters with a 1 minute rest. You have to understand that's a different game to what I'm talking about here. Yeah? You need to go through those energy systems. If you're not, you're wasting your time. If your coach isn't putting you through those energy systems, hasn't thought about it, you're wasting your time.
If you want to challenge your coach and ask them what their training program looks like and what they're actually training for, and spread that out through the week like we're explaining now, that might be a good way to do that.
And then when we look at the strength-based thing, what we have to remember is he's only done 2 strength sessions. And because he's only done 2 strength sessions, we're going to give him 4 days. They're going to be full body sessions because we're looking at strength anyway. And we're going to look at like what he needs. So like what movement does he need to match for his goals. So if he's doing turf games, he needs to be able to hang clean and press. Okay? What ability he's got and what his needs are. His hips are stiff as fuck. His knees are shagged.
Yep.
You know, so we need to work on hip mobility, hip strength, internal rotation, and then we need to work on core and functional rotation of the upper body, because without thoracic rotation, you have no shoulder mobility. Without shoulder mobility, getting into a front rack is almost impossible. So you need to understand as well, like when we're programming strength, it's not just this, and do it. It should be specific to the needs of what you can do and what you need. So, for example, we've got 3 compound movements through most of Baldy's stuff. And we'll do like a heavy work, and then we'll do a speed tech work, and then we'll do an accessory movement. Now that accessory movement is still a strength movement. For example, we do a clean, heavy clean, then we might do a hang clean for speed and technique, and then the accessory might be a front squat. So it's all strength-based work. Then when we go into accessories, we're looking at unilateral based work. So we're looking at split squats, Bulgarians, we're looking at single arm rolls. And these things are all there to make sure that we're cross-sectionally strong and that we're able to control our rotation of the body. By controlling rotation, we improve core strength and thoracic rotation, which improves mobility of shoulders and hips. And that's also why we do unilateral. Nothing that we ever do realistically in any fitness comp is going to be solely up and down in a straight line. All right, you're doing a dumbbell snatch, but the dynamics of it are entirely different. So it's important that we look at that. And we just need to make sure that it's specific to what we're doing. If it's not specific to what we're doing, it's a pointless task again. Yeah, if I've got him doing max bench press and there's not a single bench press in the comp, it's pointless.
I will do Nautilus chest press though twice a week because I want to. Yeah?
It's not to say that bench press isn't needed. It's not to say that bench press doesn't help, but bench doesn't help overhead, but overhead helps bench. So why would we fucking bench if we've got to go overhead? It's just a pointless task. So these are the things you've got to think about on strength. We've put it over 4 days. And over that 4 days, we've got 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. And we've done that solely to make sure that he can recover as much as possible. And what you'll also see is that all his conditioning-based work is in the AM and all his strength-based work is in the PM. The reason for that is doing strength-based work in the morning when you're fasted or without food, you haven't got the relevant glycogen storage to a level.
Context for that, it's normally 5 a.m. That's the purpose. That's why.
To hit the right amount of weight that we need, and then post that you might eat a bit of food and recover a bit, and then you're going to smash everything when you do this. Whereas when we come into this kind of stuff, we've already got a bit of glycogen stored, and we can use fat adaptive systems, which Baldwin's going to be fairly well versatile in, considering what he's done in the last bit. So because we can become fat adaptive, we don't have to worry too much. Once this uses up the glycogen, we're fine. Like that's the session done by the time that's happened. With this one here, once it's used up the glycogen, we're going into fat adaptive stores. We're using them to channel through. So it doesn't matter, realistically. PM, however, I want to make sure that he's fed. I want to make sure that he's got time to feed afterwards to recover from it. And then that makes the next day in the morning that much easier because we've got a whole host of carbohydrates. We've replenished the system quite well and we feel good. But I'd rather us go in there with food to damage and use rather than not. And that's why it's structured that way. This isn't going to be a one fit suits all. Some people say they love training in the morning because they feel stronger. If you do. This is just the preference for what we need to do and how Baldwin's diary runs anyway.
And this is the point of this video. These are the important considerations your coach should be doing. Now, the reason we've got Gav on board and obviously in charge of our program is for this exact reason. This is the depth and detail we go to, whether it's the class-based structure, whether it's the online structure, whether it's our one-to-one online guys as well. This is the reason, like, there's a mind map going on for days of why things should be done. And as important as that is, yeah, we always bang on to our clients, as long as you're actually fucking training on the thing, then it's going to work, because behind the scenes, this is what's gone into it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, this isn't just, I ain't doing this a week at a time, this is a week, 1 out of 8 weeks. You know, we program it back from 8, 12 weeks, whatever it might be. So, you know, once I work out the distance of how long we've got, we work it back and we break it down to 4 or 5 week chunks, and then we devise what's going to work. So this is a week out of 8. So, you know, I don't turn up in my session and go, right, today we're going to do this. You know, occasionally that happens and clients want that because you just want a good smashing and great. But realistically, from a training perspective, like if your coach is turning up and saying, right, so today we're going to do this, unless they know what you did last week and they have an understanding of where you're at.
You know, we see that kind of coach when they come with a whiteboard marker and all of a sudden go, we're going to do today. And it's just like throwing a needle in an haystack.
Yeah, they're not sure what they're doing at that point. Now, if they've got you all in the same program and you're all doing the same shit, then yeah, you can do that. They can turn up because they know exactly where they're at. But realistically, if you're a one-to-one client, it should be specific to you and what your needs are, and it should be being mapped out. So if it is mapped out, be consistent with it. You're not going to turn up and smash every day. Sometimes it's going to be wank, and when it is wank, it's wank. It doesn't matter. Just do it, get it done.
Okay, I'll quote of the year, we'll finish on, when it's wank, it's wank.
That's true. Just make sure you get it done and we're all good. Wagwan, motherfuckers.
Done. Sick. Nice.
Shouts
How long was that?
shit. Long.
Yeah. It's good. Too long? Don't be like that.
It will be too long for sure.
Nah.